Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to talk about Sweet Tooth, the Compendium. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're talking about Sweet Tooth, the Compendium. Yes, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. I went on vacation. I had stuff lined up for you guys. I thought I was going to be right back on time. Sickness knocked me out a little bit, but I had Jim to fill in while I was on vacation. So you got more videos than I had planned. So thank you, Jim, for doing that, buddy. But while I was sick last week, I decided, well, since I have content, let me go read one of these big, thick compendiums that I got. And that way, at least I can do a review of one thing that I've been wanting to read and wanting to review when I get over being sick. So since we're kind of at that point now, let's talk about Sweet Tooth. Now, Sweet Tooth was a series from Vertigo Comics back in the day, about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little bit more. It has now been adapted into a Netflix show. They have one season out on Netflix. I have not watched it, so I got nothing to talk about that at all. What I can talk about is the entire series here. This is the Compendium edition. This is the entire original series, 1 through 40. 40 issues, that's right. And I guess there's a follow-on series, Sweet Tooth, The Return, that I have not read. But this is all here, the Compendium. I think this is a great way to read this story. If I'd read this in smaller chunks, I don't know that I would have kept on with it. But because it was all here in the book, and I was like, well, you're not even halfway through, you're only a quarter way through, I just kept going. Now, I will say, this is Jeff Lemire, after all. And Jeff Lemire writes and draws the entire series, which commendable for him for putting, he has one or two fill-in issues here or there, but mostly this is a complete work of Jeff Lemire, writing, drawing, artist, all that stuff. So you got to commend it to him for completing his epic. Congratulations. Jeff Lemire, if you haven't seen his art style, it's right here on the front. Or if you've read Trillium, you can go by that. But basically, this front cover is the representation of the best of Jeff Lemire's work. In that, this is the most polished he ever is in the book. Inside the book, he's a lot more scratchy, a lot more loose than it is on this front cover. So if you think you're going to get the front cover of the book the entire way through 40 issues, I urge you, open up the book and page through it. And if you're somebody where the art style really turns you off, if it's kind of indie, really loose, really emotional versus precise and technical, page through this book before you buy it, because this may be something that is not for you in that case. I like Jeff Lemire's art style. I find it really effective in that it's very emotional, it's very evocative, and that nobody in the world is that pretty. Everything in this world is ugly, and that tends to be Jeff Lemire's art style throughout all of his work anyway. Everything is a little bit too ugly, and there's nothing really that pretty, and that tends to reflect on the content of the story he's telling here. People are ugly, people are bad, people are horrible, but there's a little bit of hope, there's a little bit of kindness, there's a little bit of sadness in everybody, and I find that his art style kind of reflects that. So I like the art style here. I like Jeff Lemire's art. But again, if you're somebody where a non-technical art style, a non-superhero art style is really going to turn you off to comics, page through this, look through it, and see if anything grabs you before you buy the book. That being said, this book, it's not cheap. It's $60, 60. For 40 issues, that's a pretty good bargain. You have the deluxe editions out there. I think there's other volumes of trade paperbacks. They're 12 issues each. So maybe there's 4 or so of them, 4 or 5. But to get this all in one compendium, 60 issues plus the covers, there's no back matter or anything like that, so that's not here. But I feel like this is a pretty good story and a pretty good value for $60. What is Sweet Tooth? What is this boy with antlers in the front? Well, Sweet Tooth came out 10 years ago or so. And the same thing with the Netflix series. It was like shot in 2019, I believe. So this is all pre-COVID-19 pandemic stuff. So if you have somebody who went through a bunch of shit with COVID-19 or whatever, like, this may not be the story for you, because it does take place after a global pandemic. So the global pandemic comes in, wipes out a bunch of humans, and at the same time, there are these babies born that are hybrids, human-animal hybrids, for no apparent reason. Human deer, human pig, human bird, human boar, human wolf, human dog, all sorts of hybrids are born. And the idea is you're following this young boy named Gus, nicknamed Sweet Tooth because he's got one, basically, and you're following his adventures in the world after his father dies. So he meets a big man named Jeopard who says he's going to take him to a sanctuary for other people like him to live. That turns out not to be the case, and kind of the adventure starts off from there. You have them trying to find out the origins of the virus, what the cure is, and you have everything kind of, all the questions are answered here, unlike The Walking Dead, another kind of post-pandemic, apocalyptic zombie epic. This offers a world that it doesn't actually focus on the world the way that Walking Dead does, and you find out how civilization's been continued. This is like 9 years after the pandemic, because Gus is 9 in the book, and everything's kind of fallen apart, but you have things that are continuing, and they're finding hope, and they're finding answers, and they're finding value in each other. So I kind of like the story, honestly. I really did enjoy reading it. Is it the best thing you've ever read? No. Does it hold a candle to Why the Last Man or Preacher? No. But is it worth reading if you're interested in the story? I think so. And I think at $60 for a compendium, or if you can get it on sale on Amazon or in stock trades, cheap graphic novels, or a sale at a con or whatever, I think that's pretty good. Again, I think the thing that's going to turn the most people here off is the art style, because it is so different from other things that we read in superhero comic books or on the channel, things like that I've highlighted before. So if you're not interested in this loose, scratchy, evocative art style, then Sweet Tooth may not be for you. But I do think it is a story worth reading, and I give it a thumbs up. I did really enjoy this book. I don't want to get into it too much, because there's a lot of spoilers if I get into it too much, other than reading, the other stuff I've been reading and highlighting as a series, in pieces. We can talk about it a little bit more because we're only looking at a certain piece of it. But as a whole, this thing I think works. It's got questions, it's got answers, it's got drama, it's got character growth, it's got all those things in a story that you need it to have in order to be engrossing and satisfactory. And I think Sweet Tooth hits that part on the nail. Is it the best thing I've ever read? No. Not everything will be. Do I think it's worth a read if you're interested in this kind of story? Absolutely. I say this compendium is a worthwhile buy. So go and pick up Sweet Tooth if you're interested in the story. I'm going to go watch the Netflix series in about a week or so and see how that holds up. Maybe we'll do a review on season 1 there. I think they got renewed for season 2. So let me know down below what you thought of Sweet Tooth. I haven't read The Return yet. Is that worth reading? Let me know down below in the comments. We will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.